Chip, Tam, and football. That's what Pittsburgh does. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the show. With you, as always, I am Brian Batko from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, one of our growing horde of Steelers beat writers over here. It's always Steelers season in Pittsburgh. It's OTA season right now. So I thought it was a good time to get a national perspective on the vibe of this team. What do people think of the optics of everything going on right now for Mike Tomlin and company in the 2025 offseason? So I am thrilled to be joined by Jamie Erdahl from the NFL Network. Good Morning Football. Hopefully you watch that a lot. It's always entertaining, even if you just see the clips on social media. They're always talking ball over there. So I'm excited to talk with Jamie. And as always, this show is brought to you by Pella. No better place to get new windows and doors installed in your home than from Pella. They can help you save on your energy costs year-round. Schedule a free in-home consultation with your local Pella Windows and Doors to find the right product for your home and your budget. Give them a call at 866-593-1560 to get started planning your new windows and doors installation with Pella Windows and Doors of Pittsburgh. Again, that's 866-593-1560 to discuss your project further with Pella. On the other side, Jamie Erdahl from NFL Network. All right, there she is, Jamie Erdahl, return guest here on the show. So it's great to have you back, Jamie. It's been a minute, but how are things going?
It's good. It's technically the off season, I guess, for all of us, but we all know that's like a pretty loose term to use. GMFB is, rolling on, but this is when the original hosts, I guess, are allowed to take some time off. So I'm still trying to keep an eye on everything, but enjoying our time away from games as much as possible.
Yeah, I was going to say, of course, with you and your hosting duties on Good Morning Football, which of course airs weekdays, 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern on NFL Network,
Hmm.
streaming on NFL Plus. I mean, you guys are year round with it, just like we are here at the Post Gazette.
Yeah.
And also, you guys have a pretty cool thing going on Friday and Saturday, or excuse me, Thursday and Friday, which we're going to get
Hmm.
into later in the show. But first, I just wanted to kind of get like the national sort of perspective on the Steelers right now. And I mean, where do they fall these days for you? I mean, are they kind of like the most intriguing team at the moment because they're kind of like the last kid to get married off to somebody, so you don't really know what's going to happen to them, or or is everybody just kind of like when you talk to people around the league or you guys have guests on the show, is it like they're the Steelers, Mike Tomlin is still there, regardless of who's taking snaps at quarterback, they're probably going to go above 500 and make the playoffs?
Yeah. Don't you got if I were the Steelers, I would want to shake that as the thing that's said about you.
Yeah.
At this point being 500 is great. What's annoying is losing in the first round of the playoffs every year, which I know that happens to a lot of teams, but for some reason that narrative when I pair it with Mike Tomlin, when I pair it with being a 500 team, I would be sick of hearing it. A couple of years back, I want to say it was 2 Decembers ago. I had a late week 15 game. It was Steelers Colts. It was
That's
in
when we had you on.
Indianapolis.
That's
It
when you
was
were on
it?
this
Okay,
show.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And I actually remember us just talking about the Steelers at the national level. And why do I feel like we're just in the same position again? It's like I was walking into that production meeting and it was like, Kenny Pickett was hurt, and some who was
Mitch was
Mitch
starting.
Trubisky was starting, and
Yeah.
T.J. Watt was crabby, and it was just like rightfully so though. And I just feel like has the needle moved that much? Now, the next question is like, does your life change that much if Aaron Rodgers signs? I think it changes a lot if he doesn't sign. And I actually can't believe of all the franchises this isn't meant to be rude or mean. It's I can't believe the Steelers are the ones that have found themselves in this position with this quarterback. I can't believe we don't have a greater contingency plan for the quarterback position in Pittsburgh. Now, you asked at the beginning whether or not this is the most intriguing. I for sure think your division is, but my God, what's happening in Cleveland right now? I don't know if anything gets more intriguing than that. Just because that's an embarrassment of riches at the quarterback position. So maybe you'll just get one of those guys if Rodgers doesn't sign. I don't know. But it's in Pittsburgh specifically. I know if I were on that team or in that building, I would want something else said about, my franchise by the end of 2025.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely is a rut. And, the Aaron Rodgers, will they or won't they? I guess I should say, will he or won't he at this stage of
Yeah.
things? They're obviously cool with it and they're cool with waiting now, at least to a
Yeah.
certain extent we don't necessarily know the hard and fast deadline from them. I don't know, Jamie. I mean, you've been in the rooms with Mike Tomlin and
Hmm.
various people from this organization. I do still kind of think like for him, maybe there's an aspect of if Rodgers signs here, I mean, yes, he'll be relatively cheap, which helps the overall roster building. And it's not exactly a great offseason for QB options, but I wonder if they'd both sort of be like, you know what, we've been written off. People think we don't have our fastball anymore. We're driven by that, and we're going to kind of prove people wrong, especially since they've actually been on the biggest stage against each other in the Super Bowl way back when. The only
Right.
one Aaron has won. I wonder if there's anything to that, and I just wonder if anything around people around the league think the Steelers do have a considerably higher ceiling if Aaron does fall into place.
It's a great question. I think of it like, I don't know if you have kids or like if
Mhm.
you're around kids a lot. So like it's like the magnetic train pieces that like detach from themselves and then you like get the pieces to move up and you uh, are you getting the whole locomotive to go in the same direction that incrementally, or are you just trying to figure out this one piece and how to move it forward? Like your defense is awesome and you could beat up on teams. Like I look, and I'm biased, but I look at the Vikings, for example, and like they, I think, took one on the chin, the proverbial chin, last year when they had Sam Darnold. And
Yeah.
did anyone ever predict that to happen the way it did with Sam Darnold? Absolutely not. No one had that happening for them. So they benefited from that greatly. But you figured out what you had on defense. You know what you have in the wide receiver room. You made drastic improvements on the offensive line. And now all of a sudden you stumbled into a second year quarterback. You don't really know what you have with JJ McCarthy. But my point is this is the Vikings took a year to say we are going to figure it out. Now they had 14 wins and they figured it out. I feel like the Steelers need to just take a year. And I know that that is painful and I know that that's frustrating. But is signing him for 1 year, maybe two? Are you going to have 14 wins? Are you or is it going to be an awkward 8 or 9 win situation again and you still haven't moved those train pieces along properly the way you wanted, and are you in the same place in 2 years? I just don't see the Steelers, stringing together 7 wins in a row in a dominant fashion, frankly, the way the Ravens probably can. And like I want that for the Steelers. I think there's potential there. Mike Tomlin still is one of my top 5 head coaches in the NFL, regardless of what anybody says. I think he's a tremendous coach and a leader, a true leader, someone that the guys want to be in that building. I think the defense is right there. But what is the offense doing in terms of identity to beat teams weekly and just be like, guaranteed, I know the Steelers are going to take one this week. I just don't know where that lies.
Yeah, you're so right. I can't think of too many of those like layup games for them in
Yeah.
recent years because the offense has been so inconsistent. And Jamie, I mean, you don't hide your Vikings fandom. You and your Vikings allegiances. Did you like? I didn't even really think about this until this came up. But given that that's your team, did you want them to go the Rodgers route this offseason? Did you think they should have? Do you think Aaron should wait them out? Like, what is your?
So,
I guess whether you
I,
want to use analyst cap or fan cap or
yeah.
meld them together. I mean, what did you make of it?
Okay. So there's so many layers to this, and this is really more of a Rogers layered cake than it is like a Vikings layered cake. But like, I had a Rogers game last year. Gosh, it was the Jets Vikings game in London. And it was a mess already. They fired Sala after that game in London, the Jets did. And I just remember sitting in that production room with Rogers and just trying to understand him better, and why, and now that I know him a little bit better from those meetings, why he goes about this. It almost feels like to me that we are talking so much about Pittsburgh and Rodgers that I'm like, there must be something else happening. Why? If it's so inevitable and obvious to us, to me, that's like the anti Rodgers. He doesn't want to be a part of things that are obvious and blatant and inevitable, and he's just going to do it. Now, JJ McCarthy apparently has been great in OTAs. Justin Jefferson is around for the first time. Usually he doesn't. He's in Louisiana. He's trying to like enjoy his offseason. He doesn't have to be there. He's there. He's in Minnesota. The defense looks awesome. They have nearly their entire roster at OTAs in Minnesota. I wonder if Rodgers was waiting to see if the other shoe was going to fall with JJ McCarthy. Rodgers says he's never going to go to New Orleans, but all of a sudden, could something happen there? Like, it just feels so like Steelers, Rodgers, silver platter. that to me he's kind of a contrarian enough that like is something else going to happen that he's waiting for just to shock us all because he likes when people talk about him.
Could be. Could be. I know some
I
Steelers
don't
fans are
know.
getting fatigued by this as well. So I'll
Yeah.
ask you this, Jamie. What's your biggest non-Rodgers subplot Steelers storyline that you're keeping an eye on here in this offseason? I mean, right now it's Mason Rudolph at quarterback, but he's about as like milk toast a QB
Yeah.
option, I think, as you could
Yeah.
realistically have these days. DK
You
Metcalf
know,
acquired
I
this
was
offseason,
wondering.
and TJ Watt,
I
he's
was
throwing really
wondering.
crappy
Well,
right now.
it was gonna be like George Pickens and DK Metcalf getting along, but now that's obviously not a thing.
Yeah,
You know, is DK Metcalf great enough to play with? Either raise the level of the quarterback play if Rodgers doesn't show up, or is DK Metcalf that good that he is the reason why Rodgers shows up? So like it becomes a DK Metcalf conversation. Secondarily, you know, your defense is great. Is there defensive fatigue within the building of we do so much. It's kind of the antithesis of what's going on with the Bengals offense and Joe
yeah.
Burrow saying that like if I had only played better, we would have made the playoffs. Burrow, you played great. Like that's so not a Joe Burrow issue in Cincinnati. Is if I were a part of that defense, it's like you're dragging teeth like with and the rope is in your teeth and you're like, come on, offense, we can do it. That's I'm looking at a TJ Watt and just how great he's played and his health and just like can he give it does he and can he give it another 18 games at full force? You know, Cam Hayward's patience is just I mean one of the greatest men in the NFL. There's only so long that these teams and these units have successful windows together. And that's kind of my two layers there is like the DK Metcalf piece with whoever he's playing with and then just how strong of a unit is that defense that they can keep playing the way that they've been playing.
I literally asked Minka Fitzpatrick about this an hour ago coming off the field at OTAs because it was his first time talking since last season. And it's like, look, Minka, I know you're one of the longest tenured players on this team. What do you make of this whole Aaron Rodgers situation and how this could
Yeah.
potentially affect the trajectory of things for you guys? You have big goals every year. He just said, I play defense. So it's
Yeah.
like, it's not
Right?
that simple, but, that's not exactly a
Yeah.
ringing endorsement. It puts these guys in a tough spot, too, though, because then it's like,
Yeah.
all right, if I say nice things about someone who's not even here, how does that reflect on the quarterbacks we do have here? I get it, but that to me is why, again, this is just such a weird
Yeah.
sideshow and distraction for them.
Brian, you're gonna come with me. We're on the move. I'm getting booted out of a room at NFL Network, and so
Okay,
you're gonna come on the move with me. Okay?
this is
Oh gosh,
exciting.
this is
Yes,
like a
let's do it.
large tour that's walking by me. We're gonna go into a control room, and you can sit with me in there.
All right, that sounds good.
There you
While we're on the move, Jamie,
go.
this has never happened in the history of this show. We've been doing this for 2 or 3 years. I think it's the first
Sorry.
time we've been mobilized. I like it. It spices things up.
We're going into the control room where we do GMFB. How about that?
Oh,
I know, right?
that is very exciting. What you guys have had Alex Highsmith on, right? This offseason.
We probably have. Okay, so by the way, here's the brain trust where the show goes on, and I'm just gonna sit right here in this producer's chair, and we're gonna produce this interview together again because I'm kind of a scatterbrained person walking around here, and this girl's like, "I booked this room." I'm like, "Oh no, I got to get out of here." Okay, here we go. Let's keep talking. Alex Highsmith. We may have had him on, but like I said to start the interview, Brian, I've been like off from GMFB a couple times, so I may have
yeah.
missed him. I did miss him if he was on.
Okay. Well, I know we mentioned TJ. He's in
Yeah.
a contract year. What's kind of your national view on TJ Watt, Miles Garrett, Micah Parsons, Trey
Oh my
Hendrickson, all
gosh.
these guys that have either recently gotten taken care of or want to be taken care of very soon. Do you feel like it's a no-brainer for the Steelers to do this, or
Is that
where
guy is TJ Watt? Is that name on the back of the jersey? Is that a franchise guy for you? Or do you feel like you have in your building or can draft the next guy that's going to do what he did? And I'm not a GM for a reason. That's not a question that I have to answer. But when I look at guys like that, and the fact that you just listed him off as an example with the other names on that list kind of tells me what the Steelers probably think about him. I personally can't envision the Watt name wearing a different jersey than
yeah,
the Steelers. So I would pay him. I would pay him, frankly, just to play ball with the Browns and what the Bengals can't figure out with Trey Hendrickson at this point. Like, your division is showing you something. The Ravens are constantly loaded on defense. you got to hang. And TJ Watt, in his generation, is not many guys better at that position and doing what he's doing for your team. So I would pay him. I would lock him up. And frankly, I just wouldn't even get into an awkward position with him. So I would show good faith, but I don't
Yeah.
run a team.
Last time around, it did take a while for them to extend him, and once they did, he went out there and had a defensive player of the year type of season.
Yeah.
So it's all just now about that. Yeah, that analytical minded GM calculus of paying for past performance.
Hmm.
You don't want to make a mistake where then it's hurting you for years to come. All right, Jamie, tell us a little bit about what you guys have going on Good Morning Football Thursday and Friday, June 5th and 6th. Seems like it's going to be a pretty cool couple of days for you and what you guys are spearheading there at NFL Network.
Yeah, well, it's in the bucket of never been done before on GMFB, which is an all-female cast at the table having these conversations. It's not an original idea by any means. There are certainly plenty of shows out there that have all women on them, and deservedly so. From an NFL standpoint, we haven't seen it done a lot, and we have the luck of the draw that we have access to, I think, the journalists from across the league, the writers specifically, like a place like the Post-Gazette, where we get to have the writers on if we want. They're not bound to certain networks or certain TV coverage. So we call and we hope that we have kind of selected a pretty well-rounded table over 2 days of women, the strongest voices in the NFL. Truth be told, I was in the meetings and in the planning of this, and I struggled with even thinking that we should put a press release out about this because I didn't think it needed to be some big to do. I think
Yeah.
we could have just come on the air on Thursday and Friday on GMFB, and the observation would have been like, oh, there's four women at the table. Cool. And then we just talk about the NFL. I will tell you this, the segments are going to be GMFB segments. They are whiteboard oriented. They are the questions that we're used to asking. And the people that you're going to hear from them are covering those teams. We're going to talk about the every division. It's just going to be the women at the table that cover the NFL. So it's not some specialty, segments of like, wow, you're a woman in football. Let's talk about that. It's not that. These are people that cover football and they are women, and they're going to be on GMFB on Thursday and Friday.
I think that's awesome. I mean, as someone who always tries to get different voices on this show, I applaud you guys for doing that. And
Thank you.
clearly, there's progress being made like that throughout NFL circles. I mean, you see female assistant coaches now
Yeah.
on a bunch of teams. Position coaches, not
Mhm.
just people that are getting entry level roles into the league. So
Mhm.
it's really cool. And I sit there and ask myself some big picture questions sometimes of like, when will we see the first female coordinator in the NFL?
Yeah.
When will we see a female head coach someday?
Right.
That might sound like it's a long way away, but I mean, I think people would have said that at a certain time that no, you'll never see a female assistant coach on an NFL staff, and yet there's
Mhm.
a bunch of them now in
Right.
2025.
Well, and listen too, like the NFL is showing their hand with us with their investment and the team's investments in flag football. We are going to have one of the younger Team USA, USA born flag football stars in Kalolo Westerland on the show. She's from Vegas. She's I might get this the way I explain this, it might not be perfectly said, but she is essentially the first female athlete to receive a full ride Division 1 scholarship for flag, I think is the
Mhm.
exact way to say it. But when we were crafting her segment that she's going to be on, like I said, this isn't a wow, Kilo, nice to meet you. What do you do? It's like, we already know you. I want to treat her as like a flag analyst almost. Like,
Yeah.
I want her to talk about LA 28, about these that she's done. She was in a Super Bowl commercial with Justin Jefferson. We want her to craft her perfect flag athlete, if you will, and what that entails,
I've heard
and just
people
make
say
sure
you want
people understand.
actually really smaller players for flag football because, I
Yes.
mean, you've got to get low to the ground and,
Yes.
not get your flag pulled essentially. So I
Yes.
was initially coming in thinking like, oh, you want DK Metcalf and George Pickens on the outside going up and making contested catches, but
Right.
I think there's a little more to it than that. So
Yeah, yeah. So I'm really excited about it, and I'm really just trying my best just from the host chair to make this feel like a regular day with female voices and not wow, nice to meet these people, because it shouldn't be that way. Like, these women cover the NFL just like everybody else does.
yeah, and I know one of them is Kelsey Conway,
Yeah.
covers the Bengals in Cincinnati. I always enjoy chatting
Yep.
with her in the press box at Steelers Bengals games. You made such a good point earlier. It's like, too bad the Bengals and the Steelers can't be like two of those school districts that merge and move up to Class 6A because they would
Can
be an
you
absolute
imagine?
juggernaut. Yeah, all of
You know
their
what though?
issues
The
besides
the
the college
rest of the
football.
other 30 school districts would block that from happening.
Yeah, I think they'd be like, that's a little bit unfair, but no, that is so, and that like kind of speaks to why the Ravens have been such a consistent force in the AFC North. I
Hmm.
mean, they don't have all the answers on both sides of the ball. Nobody really does in the
Yeah.
salary cap NFL, but the Bengals can't seem to get it right on defense. The Steelers can't seem to get it right on
Yep.
offense. And I guess if you really go down the line, the Browns, we don't know if they've got answers on either side of the ball,
Yeah.
but we shall see, I guess, what Kevin Stefanski and company have cooking up in Cleveland.
You know what I just can't believe about that? That whole drama that went down with Miles Garrett in February and just everyone, fell off their chairs when he first posted the letter about wanting to leave and then fell off their
Yeah,
chairs again when they paid him and figured it out. And he did that interview that came out where he essentially winked at America and was like, I know the plan at quarterback. And now part of me wants to be like, is this the plan? Like what is this what you were told how this was gonna transpire? Because you can't convince me that this is what he was told. And then he was like, yeah, no, that's an absolutely perfect idea. I can't wait for that.
yeah. It was like maybe there was like a train going by or something, and he thought they were saying Cam Ward, but they were like, no, we were saying Shador was the
Yeah.
plan, and he's like,
In
what?
the
Come on,
fifth
guys.
round.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, hey, thanks so much, Jamie. Anything else you want to promote or any other Steelers topics you want to touch on before I let you get out of here
No,
and
thank
maybe show
you.
grace
Thank you
to
for
the
talking about the
touring
end of this week
Eagles
on
present?
GMFB. Yeah, we're really excited about it. And we'll address hopefully everything that's happening in the NFL right now, at least from a topical spot. And we're excited. It's always great to talk to you.
And maybe one of those days, Aaron Rodgers will decide what he's going to do. Hey, nobody
That's what I'm
is
talking
really.
about.
What if he just takes a year off? I've heard people say like, "Oh, he doesn't want to go out like that." As sad as it was with the Jets, he's
Hmm.
clearly still motivated to play, but also like he's not motivated enough to be in anybody's OTAs. So like, what if he just
Good
sits and
point.
chills for a year and
Yeah.
sees what opens up? I don't know.
I mean, Kyle would disagree. Kyle wouldn't disagree, but like, I honestly think he would do great on a TV show with the right personalities around him.
I
But
think he could
that,
too. He's got like a. I mean, I'll just in recent years, in my opinion, he's gone a little bit more from like the likable kind of swagger aura guy to a
yeah,
little bit more of like a curmudgeon-y, like you said,
yeah,
contrarian. But if he
yeah.
could tap back into like the cool Uncle Aaron Rodgers that you saw at
Mm,
times, then
mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that could work.
Yeah, that's true. But just listening to him last year talk about the young guys on the Jets and just honestly doing like a brain dump with him about what was going on in a positive way at the time with the Jets. I was like, no, this I find this fascinating. Like I would love to listen to this person, but I feel like he could do TV, but a lot of people have an opinion about why that might not work for him. But hey, everybody, if they get the right ring light and the right microphone, everybody can have a job.
How about Mike T in the studio
Oh,
with you guys
always. I
someday?
mean, the guy is like a walking catchphrase. Now Mike T, I think he's a little long-winded, maybe to be like in the booth. I think he'd be like a great studio guy, and maybe follow the path of former Steelers coaches that have gone on to studio shows. But you never
Yeah,
know. I
yeah.
like what he's doing now.
I think he does. I think he does too. I think that's always the big
Yeah,
question when people bring that up. It's like networks would give him crazy amounts of money
crazy.
to do that, but
Yeah,
does he really want to do that, or is he
yeah,
too much of a
right.
football junkie? So, all
Yeah.
right.
But
Well,
the
hey,
thing
thanks
about
so
that is though, it's like the
much.
Jay Wright, it's like the Jay Wright equation. It's like the second Jay Wright realized what it was like to be on TV instead of do what he was doing, he was like, I cannot believe I've been doing anything besides being on TV. It's just like, Jay Wright was so young to like stop coaching at Villanova, but it worked
He
out for
started
CBS at
young,
least.
just like Tomlin started young. And I'll go back to what you brought up at the very start here when I just kind of let you steer the plane. Is like there is a certain amount of negativity that is surrounding the Steelers because of the year in, year out cycle of, I don't want to say mediocrity because that is like literal average, but like slightly above
Yeah.
average students. And I just do wonder, and like aggregators blow this up and stuff when I say it on one of these shows or in a chat on the post because it was like, I mean, every coach gets sick of it eventually. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of why you eventually decide to walk away. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that day is going to come for Mike if it's not, him standing up there lifting the Lombardi trophy one more
Yeah.
time. call it quits.
Just like socially, one thing that always grinds my gears is like anytime someone's condescending towards me, it's like one of my most infuriating social traits that I can come across. And I find that you flirt with that with the Steelers, where you're just like, you're fine. And like that feels very condescending to me, and I would just hate it. So that's why I
Yeah,
want to stop it.
I don't think the fan. I don't think you get any pushback from the fan base when
Yeah.
you criticize the Steelers for being in this never-ending
Fine.
cycle of 9-8, 10-7.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're
Yeah.
as angry about that as anybody. So
Yeah.
all right. Well, hey,
Cool.
thanks so much to Jamie Erdahl from NFL Network for joining us and also taking us on like a 25-yard handoff
Journey.
from one place at NFL Network Studios.
Here it
to another.
is. This is where GMFB originates from.
Yes, that was exhilarating. Yeah, check it out every day, but especially Thursday and Friday with their first time in their show's history, entirely female cast, spotlighting some of the strongest female voices from around the league and the sport. Appreciate it, Jamie. Have a great rest of the week. All right.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon.
Yeah. All right, there she goes. Appreciate Jeremy Erdahl for coming back on the show. We've had her on before. Like she said, it was that Steelers-Colts game a couple years ago. A lot has changed with the team since then, no doubt. And appreciate you all for checking us out once again. We leave you with a quick message from Goldberg, Persky, and White. If you've been diagnosed with mesothelioma or lung cancer, call your local attorneys at Goldberg, Persky, and White for more than 40 years. Their firms represented thousands of lung cancer and mesothelioma victims. Call 1-800-COMPLEX or visit gpwlaw.com for a free consultation. I'm Brian Batko from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Check out a bunch more of our stories, YouTube episodes, stand-ups from OTAs with me and Ray Fittipaldo. We'll be here with plenty of OTAs coverage the rest of the week here, and we will see you again soon. As always, appreciate you finding Chipped Ham in football.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.